Judy and myself were the only two people that we never decided to go on that trip. For some reason, I don't know what it was, I was not motivated to go to Zimbabwe. Going to Zimbabwe after Bob and the musicians left for Zimbabwe, Rita had gone. She had to go, But Judy and myself decided we weren't going. But after they left, we kept calling each other, and Diane Jobson, kept calling us and said, boy, Bob really wanted I3s and he's feeling bad. And I said, Judy, all right, let us go. So they sent the tickets for us, and we left, and I can't tell you how happy Bob was when he saw us. He was so happy. Night of the performance, we were on stage, and of course, doing Zimbabwe song in Zimbabwe was the highlight of the night. And the Africans just went wild. At that particular time, the Prince, what's his name?
I don't remember.
Prince Charles, or one of them.
Oh, from England?
Yeah, he drove in at that time. And when he drove in, we were going into Lively Up Yourself. And I remember after doing Lively Up Yourself, and everybody was having such a ball on stage. Being in Africa, all of us want to feel African. So I was wrapped in African thing. I just felt a cool breeze, and when I looked, my African thing was at my feet on stage. Fall off me and everything. I was practically naked on the stage. So I managed to pull it up, and while I was pulling up this thing now and trying to pin it back on me, I smelled something very strange. So I looked around to the musicians to see if anyone was, Then everybody was just normal, and I looked at Tyrone, who was playing the keyboard, and he was there going, so I said, something is not smelling right. But that was tear gas.
Yeah, man, it was, me and Steve were on stage.
What was the show?
It was, the concert was for the independence of Zimbabwe, finally getting the right to govern itself from the British that had colonized it for so many years. And I guess there were so many people outside. I guess it was an official event, this event, but the people were outside, and the official activities were happening inside. But when Bob started playing, after a few minutes into the set, I just started smelling something very funny. I didn't know what tear gas was at the time.
Tear gas was all over the stadium. So by the time I realized, people were running like wild animals. And we just left the stage and started running, because that time our eyes started burning us, and we realized that tear gas was used. We don't know what was the reason why everyone was running and tear gas was thrown. And when I looked, it was just war tankers with soldiers in the mass ready for war. And we never stopped running, not knowing what was happening. We don't even know where Bob was, and Ziggy was a little baby, and he was on stage with Bob. So I am saying, my God, I wonder what happened to Bob. And we run till we finally got out of the stadium.
And then, Bob came, and he with a wet some water and put something over, me and my brother face, and we kind of, took us up and moved us out of the tear gas area.
Finally, we found out what was happening. It's a group of guys in Zimbabwe call themselves the Freedom Fighters. And they heard Bob Marley playing in the stadium, and they weren't allowed to come in the stadium. And they just flattened the fence. They flattened the fence. So when they flattened the fence, now the soldiers used tear gas, to whatever. They all came in. Everybody came in. And would you believe me that I don't know how, boy, I respect Bob Marley from that night more. Bob stood up and he was ready to die with his people for whatever the reason was. He never run to go anywhere. How he managed to help Ziggy from the tear gas, I never even asked. I was so shocked. And he went back on stage and finished his performance, I felt so bad because when Bob came to the house and saw us that night, he looked at all three of us and said, now we know who are the real revolutionaries.
Wow.
We could even speak because, we were so ashamed when Bob used his own line on us. Now we know who are the real revolutionaries. But everyone is running for their lives, so we had to run too. And Bob stood up there and he went back and finished his performance. And I just look on that man different from that night.
But the whole experience at Zimbabwe was very special for us. It was my first trip. My first long trip on an airplane.
Did you travel with him a lot?
In Jamaica, but not overseas too much. Few times overseas, but a lot in Jamaica.
Ziggy is like my son. That's how I see Ziggy. And to tell you the truth, I have a special, different kind of love for Ziggy. I mean, I love all of them because I watch all of them born and I watch them all grow. But something about Ziggy, I don't know what it is. I always tell Rita that too. I don't know what it is, but he's very special to me.
Oh, I love Sister Marcia too.
Do you want to say anything about Marcia Griffiths real quick?
Oh, great lady, man. Great. One of the greatest women that come out of Jamaica for the music, and just a great person, She get all our respect as children. I mean, she was family. She was just family.
Since he has grown up now, he's more reserved, yes. Because the way how we used to perform as a little youth, I don't see him doing things like that anymore. But I just have a special love for Ziggy, and you can always depend on Ziggy coming on stage. Little baby to dance up a storm, and I am proud of them. I am very proud of them. Yeah, very proud. I know Bob must be proud though. Must be proud of them too. Because he said, it's so many lines that we could quote from Bob's music and his lyrics and his message, He was like way ahead of his time because everything that he sang about, it's been manifested today. We can use it as a code for so many different things.